Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater for the 15th of November, 2018. And first and foremost, I'd like to apologize for the sheer length of yesterday's episode. It clocked in at just under 40 minutes. That is a lot longer than I usually like to go. So I do appreciate you guys sticking through that. Additionally, I've been running the YouTube premieres to see whether or not that helps boost up the viewership. And right now, I don't think people are getting notifications. And so I'm just letting you guys know that I'm going to not do premieres for a few days to see if that helps change anything. The YouTube system is always being difficult. Whereas those of you who are listening through iTunes or other podcast devices right now, you don't have that problem and consider yourselves lucky. But that being said, also, I'd like to put a huge thank you out there to everyone who called in, leaving your voicemails. If you don't know about that, you can do that by calling us directly. Calling me directly at 818-350-3281, and you can leave a voicemail that will be played on air, provided it's not trolly or shitty or stupid. But the ones that I've gotten so far were great, and I'm looking forward to more. I would love to see that grow and be a much larger part of the show. Audience interaction, engaging with you guys is something I definitely want. I also do want to eventually dive into more of the live conversations to bring back the live shows. So if we're lucky and things work out just in terms of scheduling, I'd like to be able to do more of that. The reason why I'm not doing it now is I've got a 1-year-old daughter almost, and her schedule rules my entire life. So I have to do it this way for the time being. But as soon as that gets figured out, I want to try to alter things for that perspective. So that being said, tonight, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them comes out. There are showings starting at 5 p.m., at least in my neck of the woods. I will be seeing it tonight. The review will be up on 3 Buck Reviews. Link is in the video description. And I'm looking forward to it. Even though the reviews have not been very good, I personally want to see it to give you guys my thoughts. And so without further ado, let's jump in to the first story today, which is definitely what you see on the screen here. J.J. Abrams sets 6 new movies at Bad Robot, and none of these are proposed Cloverfield sequels. None of them have anything to do with Cloverfield or the Cloververse, and especially not Cloverfield 2. Come on, JJ. You promised us Cloverfield 2, but you're setting 6 other movies in motions. Let's take a look here at what they are. So first up is Everything Must Go, which comes from Bobby Hall, a.k.a. Logic, who is co-writing the movie with Lisa McQuillan. The movie is being pitched as Clerks for a New Generation. Logic is also set to star in the movie. Also on the slate is The Steps, which is a new twist on the age-old genre of possession horror. Blair Butler will write the project based on an original idea from Stefan Grube. Grube recently or previously served as an editor on 10 Cloverfield Lane. He's also going to be working as an editor on Star Wars Episode 9. So he's got a good connection to J.J. Abrams. Like, hey buddy, hey pal. So I'm not too sure how I feel about the Clerks for a New Generation, but it could work. I don't know. Logic is pretty badass, and Blackish is a good show. But it'll be very interesting to see which angle they take it. Will it be more Clerks for a New Generation, or will it be kind of Clerks meets Kids for a New Generation? I don't know why that came immediately to my head. The Steps, again, possession horror, those are hit or miss, right? We had a time in the early 2000s where that was a big thing, a lot of possession horror. But then again, the Conjuring universe is a $1 billion property over at Bloom or over at Warner Brothers, right? So yeah, it can work if done well, and we'll have to wait and see just how they do it. These are all going to be probably very low budget, in my opinion, which quite frankly, I'm on board with. I want to see more low budget films. They're also working on an Untitled movie from producer Megan Amram, who works on The Good Place and Silicon Valley. Both of those are fantastic shows. She's penning the screenplay, working from an original idea, which is described simply as a female-driven horror allegory. No idea what that means, but I don't know what a female-driven horror allegory could be. We'll have to wait and find out on that one. Next up is The Seven Sisters of Scott County. This one comes from writer Courtney Hoffman, Good Time Girls, who will also direct from her original idea, which is set during the time of moonshine running in the United States. So expect it to be a rootin', tootin', hootin', hollerin' good time, all about women running a moonshine business in a male-dominated Kentucky or Alabama or Appalachian Mountains, whatever. I don't know. I mean, it could be cool. It could be interesting to kind of take that power dynamic and turn it on its ear. There's another one that's an untitled contained, whatever that is, time travel movie, which comes from Ben Schifrin, based on his own idea. So I don't know what exactly an untitled contained time travel movie is. Probably contained means it's in it's in a location and the days just keep repeating. You know, you could argue that I don't know, or maybe it's contained and like it's just in one area. They keep going forward and backwards in time. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Last up is Only the Lonely, which is a sci-fi romance flick, which will serve as the directorial debut of Stephen Grub, who, in addition to his work in 10 Cloverfield Lane, edited The Front Runner and is editing Star Wars 9. Yeah, so the script is penned by Dylan Meyer, who wrote XOXO, and Peter Glantz, The Longest Week. I have seen neither of those films, so I have no idea if they're going to be any good. But this is an interesting slate. These are all going to be what appears to be low budget, wide genre type films, right? We're seeing a wide spread on the genre, not focusing in on just one or the other, which is cool. And I think the reason for that is Bad Robot traditionally has done a wide variety of different programs, right? Over the course of the past, I think a little over 10 years they've been around. And so it's good to see them kind of branch out, because I think it's going to be a hit or miss in regards to some of these projects, but really all you need is one to recoup the losses on the others. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but none of those are Cloverfield. I'm not very happy with that. I'm not very happy that none of those are Cloverfield. That sucks. That really, really sucks. But here's an interesting one. So we're finding out now, only a few months away from Captain Marvel, and even only a hop, skip, and a fart away from Infinity War Part 2, or whatever they're going to call it, Endgame, Annihilation, whatever it is. There's been a question on everyone's mind. Why did Nick Fury wait so long to call in Captain Marvel, right? If the prequel movie takes place in the 1990s and she's basically Superman here on Earth, where was she during 2012's Avengers? Where was she during Age of Ultron? Where was she during, a lot of other things that have happened in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And why did he wait until Thanos had effectively wiped out half the population in order to shoot her a call? And how did he know that she would be one of the ones to survive? Well, apparently now we find out. So it says here, in Marvel Comics, Captain Marvel Prelude #1, which is going to hit shelves on February 19th, readers get a glimpse at the moment leading up to the Avengers Infinity War post-credit scene to get an insight as to why Fury called Carol Danvers. Reeling from the Avengers' dissolution following the fallout between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark in Captain America Civil War, Maria Hill suggests to Fury that they call upon another hero that they can have on retainer, to which Fury refuses. He says, nah, if we do our job right, we'll never be in the position of having to call her. Make sure you keep an eye on the raft. Got a feeling our guys are going to need a little assist kicking the door open. So that's obviously tying in to the end of Civil War, where Captain America goes back and rescues everyone from the raft. Now, it says here that it doesn't really tell us any more than we already know, that Captain Marvel was the last-ditch backup plan, only to be called in the moment when it was most dire, but things didn't really seem desperate back in 2012 when the world risked destruction by a massive... Oh, but didn't things seem desperate back in 2012 when the world risked massive destruction by an alien attack? And the writer of the comic actually explains Nick Fury's thinking here, saying, Carol's the biggest gun you've got, and Fury's never one to waste a silver bullet. So if he's finally making a call after all this time, and after all he's faced alongside the Avengers, then he's truly seeing the situation as a last resort. Well, I guess maybe, like, the author here says that he buys it, right? And knowing how Fury played the Avengers in the first movie by using Coulson's death and Captain America's playing cards as a way to rally the team, how they came together in Avengers in, Age of Ultron, and were able to fight off Ultron after making that mistake. Maybe Fury just wanted to give him time to solve it on his own. I mean, never mind the destruction of New York, never mind, the destruction of Sokovia, never mind the Sokovian Accords that came out of that, never mind all the consequences that happened with these events having taken place. But he wanted to wait on the moment to be like, well, we have to be in the real shit in order to call in Captain Marvel. It's kind of lazy. I mean, like, I get they're going to have to sit there and find a way to shoehorn this in, to find a way to explain it a little bit. But at the same time, I figure they would have probably been able to do it in a way that sounded a little bit better. I mean, look, either way, I'm going to buy it because I'm a fan. That's just how it is. That's just how I do things. But at the same time, I would like a little bit better of an explanation than just, well, he's holding off on the silver bullet. You know, he watches a helicopter crash into a building and he's like, oh, shit got real. But a giant wormhole opening up above New York and a gigantic invading alien force coming in, nah, not a big deal. Not as big of a deal as you might think. I don't know. I just, they're going back like this. They're going to definitely retcon a couple things, or they're going to explain it in probably semi-ham-fisted ways, which is unfortunate, but that is also just the way these particular stories tend to play out. And speaking of interesting stories playing out in a way I didn't quite think possible, what we have here is a rumor. This is a rumor, by the way, about the new Spawn movie, about some story details that reveal that it's actually going to be a grounded crime thriller, which is really interesting to me. Because going back to the original Spawn film from 1997 and even the Spawn animated movies on HBO back in the day, none of those were really super grounded. Now, the Spawn animated show was amazing, and I actually kind of like the Spawn movie. Had a good soundtrack, right? Who doesn't love Sneaker Pimps? Six Underground. I'm just saying. That was kind of my jam. That was my jam during the summer in 97. But that, anyway. So what we got here is this rumor is not coming from the studio, Tood McFarlane, or anyone involved in the production at Blumhouse or anything else. So it said here, and this is again the rumor, that Spawn will center on Twitch Williams, a character from the comic series who is an NYPD detective that loses his daughter in a gang violence incident. Twitch enlists his ex-partner Danny to help exact his revenge on the criminal organizations of New York City. However, he soon realizes that he's in over his head as two major criminal organizations are banding together to take over the seedy criminal underworld. Now, that does sound very much like a Spawn-type comic storyline, doesn't it? Now, Spawn apparently factors in, according to this report at least, because Twitch is visited by Al Simmons, the man who becomes Spawn, who has knowledge of his daughter's death, but then Al reveals himself to be the character we know, a messenger sent directly from hell to help Twitch exact justice on those who executed these crimes. For the most part, it's a straightforward, gritty crime drama. It just so happens to have a justice-seeking specter aiding a cop on his quest for justice. Now, it's not what you would really expect from this type of movie. Now, we know that Tood McFarlane wrote it and he's directing it, so obviously the creator of the comic is going to have a better fundamental understanding of what goes into this. He's making this more comic accurate. It's going for a hard R. It was already supposed to be made at this point, but it's not even going to go into production until June of next year. But at least he's teamed up with Blumhouse as a way to really, I see it come through. Blumhouse, I think, has a tendency of hitting these things, putting them together in the right way. Right, unless you're Five Nights at Freddy's, which is now currently on delay, which I forgot to talk about that this week. But anyway, it says here that this is largely what we've heard about the project previously. Tood McFarlane, who wrote the script and will direct, said it's not an origin story and that Spawn himself won't say a word. But Jamie Foxx is playing Spawn, and Jamie Foxx can't go into a movie without saying a word. All right. Remember, like, he played a character named Motherfucker Jones in 2 movies. So it's kind of like, but unless he's playing the Al Simmons character, like he's playing that, and Spawn, when we see him, doesn't actually say anything. But it says here, Jamie Foxx is signed on to play Al Simmons, and it sounds like the workaround of actually having Al appear may be why Fox felt the role was meaty enough to sign on for, and Jeremy Renner has signed on to play the role of Twitch. And there's no indication of who will play Danny. And that, I mean, look, if it's going to be more like Al instructing them, Jamie Foxx instructing them versus Spawn, I get it. They're probably doing that maybe to keep the budget down, right? And maybe Tood McFarlane really wrote up the character pretty well. At this point, as stupid as it sounds, I'm really hoping for a John Leguizamo and Michael Jai White cameo in the movie, just as a nod to the original 21 years ago. Although that might take away from the gritty, grounded crime drama that this movie is looking to be. And like, here's the thing: I want to see it. I want to see what they're going to do with it. As far as superhero stories go, Spawn is a dark one. It's a dark and it's a dreary one, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to check out. But just whenever it happens, we just don't know. Speaking of things that we don't know, but this is all speculation, I came across this article this morning asking, could Detective Pikachu launch a Pokemon cinematic universe? And it's an interesting enough idea to warrant kind of a discussion. Now, look, I've made my thoughts and feelings on Detective Pikachu well known. It's awesome, and I know I'm going to want more. I know I'm going to want more. And they are clearly establishing it for a franchise. It's not going to be a one-off movie. They are clearly establishing it for a franchise. I just wonder if having it come out so close to Avengers Infinity War is going to hurt its chances of going forward. Now, the article here does give some good points. It says, for the big Hollywood studios, franchises are key these days. While Warner Brothers doesn't exactly have a shortage of them, I can't see Fantastic Beasts series lasting that much longer. And there's only so much you can do when it comes to properties like Kong and Godzilla. Well, Fantastic Beasts has at least 6 more years. All right, they are going to see the movies through to the end, even if they have to rein in J.K. Rowling herself in order to do it. But Kong and Godzilla, yeah, they might get 4 movies out of that tops, right? We've already got one from 4 years ago. We got the one coming out next year. Then there's going to be Kong versus Godzilla 2020. And then who knows where they're going to take it after that. But if the movies do well enough, they're going to keep it going. And of course, that ties in Universal and Warner Brothers and Legendary, and that's a whole big mess. But when it comes to Pokemon, there's a lot of routes a studio can take to expand the franchise while making it appeal to audiences of all ages. Mix it up a bit. Choose some Pokeballs filled with different genres to explore. Much as Detective Pikachu seems to be an action thriller set in the Pokemon universe, let's take these characters and throw them into adventures that feel different from what's come before. Perhaps in an action adventure like Indiana Jones or Tomb Raider, or we can explore in an ancient Pokemon temple, or even a heist film where the film's protagonists have to recruit a team of different Pokemon in order to achieve their goals. Yeah, right? Like also Team Rocket. I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. If they made a Team Rocket movie, you know it would sell. You know it would sell. It would sell so much, but given the seedy underbelly that we kind of got a glimpse at of Rhyme City in the trailer, there's going to be a lot there. Here's my theories on this one, right? I mean, obviously he does go on to talk a bit about merchandising and how that's going to be a big part in this. Like, what is it? Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee just came out for the Switch. Those are already pretty popular. People are already playing the hell out of those. I've already read articles that are like, oh, this has helped me bond with my child. And I'm all like, yeah, I'm probably going to bond with my kid over it too. You know, like go on walks and like catch Pokemon and stuff. Or Harry Potter is going to have that same thing next year. That's going to be a lot of fun when she gets to be a little bit older. But looking at the idea here of a Pokemon cinematic universe, I would argue that, yeah, I think it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible that this sort of thing could happen. And he's got the idea there about maybe mixing it up with different genres. But let's be fair. Let's be realistic. What do fans want? Pokemon Battle Arena. That if you can sell a story that's like Gladiator, but with Pokemon Battle Arena, right? Damn. You could even tell the original Indigo League story. You could tell that as a live action in one movie. Well, Indigo League was it's like over 50 episodes. You have to really, really, really condense it down. But there are ways to do it. And you could do it live action. Cast a live action Ash, cast Pikachu. Ash can't talk to Pikachu, but we know that it's going to be voiced, you know, in that mindset, but voiced by Ryan Reynolds, right? Or it could be a prequel before it becomes Detective Pikachu. You know, you could do all these things and do live action stuff and tie it all together. There's enough money in the Pokemon property after all of these years, these are multi-decades, where a live action cinematic universe could be a thing. And it would be very stupid for not only Nintendo, but Warner Brothers to shy away from that. Now we know that Nintendo is venturing into the entertainment field, right? We know that Illumination is doing a Super Mario Brothers movie. We know that Netflix has picked up the rights to the Legend of Zelda series, with a possible announcement about that tomorrow, by the way. Adi Shankar is reportedly going to be talking about that tomorrow, so I'll be covering it for the Friday episode. And there's a lot that can be done in regards to the Pokemon franchise to make it something that is worthwhile and interesting. And I look forward to seeing what they do with it. But I wanted just to kind of put this out there to you guys. Do you think it could happen? And what is it you'd like to see? And I think Detective Pikachu itself is going to be its own property. And they could branch off from there. But given the type of world they created, the CG and how it works and how it looks together, I am totally on board with that. So that brings me to the last story of the day. And this is something I wanted to share with you guys, this minute and 38 message, the final message from Stan Lee to his fans. It has been a remarkably sad week in regards to that. It's been a remarkably terrible week in regards to just remembering Stan Lee and his love for the audience and what he created. A lot of fans, myself included, have just been uh, heartbroken by it. A lot of my anger and upset from it comes not from the fact that the man died. 95 years is a long time. 95 years is a long time to live in this world and to live the life that he lived. But his last year and a half was filled with just anguish, pain, and strife. And through it all, he still maintained his happy-go-lucky attitude, his love of what he did. His last words, apparently, to the head of Marvel was, "Take care of my boy." This happened 2 days before he died. I read that yesterday morning, and it crushed me. I mean, Marvel is not just Stan Lee. We all know this. But to us, to a lot of us, they're synonymous, right? They're synonymous. Well, this is his final message, and I wanted to play it for you guys because I wanted you guys to hear it. And it's bittersweet, but I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a solid farewell and a solid goodbye. And let's take a look.
We got, again, the fans love your sense of humor, and you know, it's
an equal love fest, because I love my fans. I cannot tell you how much I love my fans. They sometimes at night I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, what's it all about, you know? And then I get a letter from a fan, or I read something, or I see something, or I remember something, and I realize it's so lucky to have fans who really care about you. And that's the reason I care so much about the fans, because they make me feel so great. And there's something, if you think about it, that is wonderful about somebody caring about you as I care about them, whom you've never met, who may live in another part of the world, but they care, and you have something in common, and occasionally you contact each other. And this business of fans, I think, is terrific. And I love them all.
That's really nice to hear, you know? Like I get where he's coming from, because I do this as a job, and I've met fans, and I've met people, you know, who are so nervous to meet me, and like they get nervous. One dude I met a few months ago was on the borderline of tears when we met very briefly. And all I could do is just look at him, and I could see he was feeling this way. And I said, "Do you want a hug?" You know? And he's yeah. And I just gave him a hug to kind of like, you know, to calm the situation down a little bit, but to give back a little bit, you know? And I understand what he's talking about there. It's true. At the end of the day, it's all about the fans, and the fans, they loved him. I loved him, you know? And this is a guy who leaves behind this huge legacy that I just, again, as a fan, I feel that's why I'm so ticked, is because I wish there was more I could have done at the end to help, but there's nothing that any of us could have done. We had no idea he was going to be swindled and you know, defamed in the media for accusations of sexual harassment and sexual assault, and all, you know, his blood was going to be stolen and used to sign autographs in Vegas and as for collector's items for cash. So much happened in the last year, just the last year, that even that message, his final message to his fans, his final message to everybody, is still one of hope and one of love. And regardless of everything else, he understands that, and he pushes for that. And he loves that. And he loves you. He loved me, loved us all. And it makes it harder to think about. It makes it harder. It just makes it more difficult. Stan Lee will be forever missed. And no matter what anyone may ever say about him, no matter what kind of person comes out and attacks him, You have that minute and 38-second clip blows all of it out of the fucking water. All of it. He was a kind, gentle person. And honestly, I think many of us didn't even deserve him in this world to begin with, but we got him. And now he's gone. And the world does feel a little bit darker as a result. All right. Enough of that. Enough of that stuff. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the episode today. That's going to wrap everything up here. If you guys remember, if you want to dive in and you ever want to call in and leave a comment or whatever, you know, you guys can do that by calling 818-350-3281 and leave a voicemail there, and I will play it on the show. I really appreciate everyone watching, either live or on iTunes or wherever you hear it. Again, thank you guys so much. It's all about you. I do this because I love talking movies and I love reading the comments. And I love talking with other movie enthusiasts and everything else. Anyway, have yourself a great day, guys. Go see Fantastic Beasts tonight. I'll be doing my review of it later on. Have a good one, and peace out.